So Tiff, I want to talk about Sunday school again. Thanks for coming on. Can
Okay.
you catch us up on what we've been learning in Sunday school and maybe what you shared with the students?
Yeah, so we've been going through the 5 points of grace. And so you had taught total depravity last
Hmm.
week. And then the way we have it set up is that I would follow up with your instruction with like application and more processing of the concept. So I just kind of did a review on total depravity yesterday. So we like looked at scripture that supported like the points of total depravity, and then we looked at Arminianism,
Hmm.
and the students got to reflect on that, and then I had a point where we kind of brought it back to how theology, like having a better understanding of who God is, changes our hearts and moves us to worship Him
Yeah,
even more.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You shared something related to total depravity at the end. It was like a personal example. I wanted to ask if you're comfortable sharing it here with a broader audience. I think it was very encouraging.
Oh, thanks. I brought my journal from like 10 years ago to share with the students, because yeah, in my preparation for the lesson, I kind of like was reminded of a journal entry that I wrote at that time. And in that journal entry, I just remember like looking through scripture and just like basically writing it down because it kind of reflected like what I was feeling. And so I used a lot of like what Paul was saying. Um, I can read one of them, like saying um, like I find it to be a law that when I want to do right, evil lies close at hand. For I delight in the law of God in my inner being, but I see my members another law waging war against the law of my mind and making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members. And just this idea of like, I want to do right, but I can't. Like, I'm so bad that I can't do what I want to
Hmm.
do. Um, and so I think that really captured like our topic of total depravity, this idea that we can't save ourselves and that nothing that we can even do, like we can try our best, but it still doesn't measure up to what God, like like the holiness of God. And so I think like I wanted to share that with students because, and I had journaled that I was struggling a lot with like anger, selfishness, and like sexual sin, and that if I felt captive to it. And so I wanted to encourage them that like we still struggle with sin, but like Christ has already redeemed us from being like enslaved to that sin.
Hmm.
So that's kind of why I shared that.
Yeah. So I think that was a moment of vulnerability with the students, and I think that that's appreciated. I think as a teacher, even for me, I'm kind of like, okay, what should I be sharing with the students? But you're open with them, and so I wanted to ask you, was that hard for you? Now, you said this was a journal entry from like 10 years ago, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, was it hard for you to kind of revisit that, and then also was it hard for you to share so openly about it?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit, it was more like encouraging to revisit that. Like I feel so like reading that was like, oh my gosh, like that's where I was 10 years ago. I'm feeling like this relief, like I'm no longer feeling like what is the word? Like it's like I've grown in the last 10 years to a
Sure.
point where like God has been so faithful to like walk me through like those valleys.
Hmm.
And so it was encouraging to read that and be like, wow. I mean, I even shared at the end of like my journal, I had random thoughts, and it
Yeah.
was just so funny. Like, wow, like just wow, I thought this 10 years ago. Like, what the heck? Um, and yeah, and to share it, I think, I mean, I've definitely I cut off what like I didn't share everything because I was
Sure.
like, okay, I don't want to go too detailed in my of my entry. So
Right, right, right.
it wasn't too hard because I feel like most of what I read to them was like passages
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
the yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of passages for sure. Um, Now, journaling is something that we've been doing with the class. So where did this, like, I guess this um, habit of journaling come from? This was 10 years ago. So do you still have that habit? Yeah. So where did it come from? Do you still have that habit? And then, yeah, we're doing it in class. How do you hope to encourage the students to kind of maybe practice the same?
Hmm. So I don't journal anymore, sadly. Although reading my journal made me feel like, oh, maybe I should do this again. Because back then I feel like I journaled scripture. It helped me to process, and like some of it is my own feelings too.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so now it's all just kind of like in my head. I'll like put it on my notes on my phone if I don't have time to jot it down. But like it's just, yeah, I haven't journaled in a while. Um, and with the students, like I, that's interesting. I saw that as a tool of communication.
Mm.
So like for in our instance, like their journal isn't like private to them because I'm
Yeah.
reading it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I saw it as a point of like back and forth with them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and I got that idea because when I was in 12th grade, Uncle Ivan I remember he had like started that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, it didn't like continue on, but then I remember like, oh, that's kind of cool. I get to like talk to my Sunday school teacher in writing, which
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable doing. And so I kind of wanted that because I feel like it's different from like a school setting where like I would have been seeing like students every day to build on those relationships, but sometimes it's like a week passes or someone shows up late, so they're only there for like 10, 15 minutes and I don't really
Right.
get to like interact with them. And so just thought it as another point of like understanding who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you for bringing different elements, different pieces, as you say, into our Sunday school class. Can I just ask you one more before we go? How do you think the class is going so far? We've only been meeting for what, like 3, 4 weeks or something like that, but I feel like we've already, I don't know, did a lot of stuff. What do you think?
I think it's going okay. Like I feel like it's a good rhythm. Like I
Mm,
think the way we have it broken up, and I'm excited for like our October like identity
right,
series and
right, yeah,
um yeah, like I feel like I kind of wish I like got to connect more. So I'm trying to find ways. Like I was even reflecting like this week, like oh we did a lot of activities, but I didn't feel like I got to like connect with like every single student like in that time that we
oh,
had.
interesting.
But yeah, but I do like being able to hear their thinking, like when we did that gallery walk,
Yeah,
and then just seeing the questions they had or their understanding of what was on there. Like they even processed it different from how I was processing it. So it was a good way to see their thinking. So that's
yeah.
kind of my goal. Like, what's in your brain? Like, how are you understanding these concepts and how it relates to you? So,
Yeah, no, good point. Because I think it is, yeah, it is different. I do thank you, Tiff, for challenging me too to change up my teaching style. I think that, yeah, it's easy to go up there and actually just start talking, right? But it's difficult or more challenging to have real interaction, right? And so I guess we can foster that interaction by having activities and stuff, but it still takes the effort to, I guess, talk through the activities and to actually have some sort of substance to
mhm.
that and not just like doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Tiff, thanks for sharing a little bit behind the scenes of what you're thinking with this past one. I need to send you my lesson for this Sunday and get your feedback, and I'll do that soon. Okay.
Yeah. I appreciate your back and forth.
Yeah.
It helps to like build and refine our ideas, I feel. So that's
Yeah.
been good.
All right, Tiff. Have a good night. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.